Hello, Bluey.
When we tune into kids shows, our expectations is that we'll have a reliably happy time that'll make us smile. It's all sunshine and rainbows and cute shit. Until it isn't. There are times when you tune into kids shows and suddenly it's not all sunshine and rainbows and cute shit. Instead, we get a wallop of sadness and depression. It's like they betrayed our trust to make us feel something. Why am I having feels in my kids shows? That's only reserved for when I watch idol anime. Give me back my happy moments. I've always been fascinated by kids shows suddenly subverting tone. I think I've seen like way too many top 10 darkest slash saddest kids show moments of all time that it kind of makes this video redundant. But whatever, we all like listening to it. So here are some episodes from kids shows that I found personally pretty sad or weirdly depressing, or heck, even just made me flat out cry. Yeah, I'm a baby, don't judge me. I cry at stuff. Just kidding. I don't actually cry. Or do I?
Thanks again for all your help.
8 times out of 10, a millennial will talk about this episode of Blue's Clues in response to the question, what is the saddest episode of television? This episode is another run-of-the-mill Blue's Clues episode, but this time, Steve is getting ready to leave for college, and we gotta find the clues in order to figure out what Blue wants Steve to bring. This is also the episode where we get introduced to Joe. By the way, I love Joe so much. So why is this really sad? I mean, it's kinda obvious why, but we need to look at the surrounding context of this. This episode debuted in 2002, which is like 6 years after the first episode of Blue's Clues premiered. And if you were glued to that TV for 6 years, Steve would have been the main figure that would have been helping you throughout these times. Steve taught us numbers, words, how things make us feel. Steve was someone who a lot of children looked up to as not just like a teacher, but also like a father figure. He was someone we cared for, he was someone we loved, but most of all, he was something else. A best friend. So imagine that one day your best friend decides that he wants to go away, and then he tells you this.
Thanks again for all your help.
All we do now is just watch them go inside the bus and leave. We're powerless to stop them. For millions of children, this is what Steve Goes to College represents for them. It was more than a host leaving the show. It was saying goodbye to a best friend. Yet, despite the sadness, we learned to remember the good times we had with him. Thanks again for all your help. This was Steve's way of saying, thank you for the 6 years you've been with me. Those were only 6 words, yet it remains one of the most beautiful and poignant send-offs in any kind of television episode. Wait a minute, how did I watch this episode? I wasn't even born in 2002. Right, I had the Blues Biggest Stories DVD. That was amazing. That was like 3 hours worth of Blues Clues content? Dang, what was I on?
Thanksgiving? What's there to be thankful about anyway? Waste of time, if you ask me.
Butterbean's Cafe was way ahead of my time. I don't even know how I caught this show. I actually don't know. But for the 98% of you that don't know about this show, Butterbean's Cafe follows Butterbean the fairy as she runs a cafe with her friends. And there's also an antagonist named Miss Marmalady in some kind of like Krusty Krab chum bucket shindig. Cue the wacky fantasy shenanigans! Very Happy Thanksgiving is the obligatory Thanksgiving episode. And of course, Miss Marmalady is all like, yeah, this holiday's stupid. What is there to be thankful for? Of course, we in the business call this foreshadowing. And that foreshadowing slowly comes to life. Throughout the episode, we can see that Miss Marmalady is not only hungry, but also actively trying to feign a lingering sadness. It eventually reaches its peak when she orders Thanksgiving food online, only for it to be ingredients. She goes for a walk, stumbling into Butterbean's Cafe and looking at her thank you wall, which is a wall of turkey drawings with things that people are thankful for written on them. A voiceover plays, someone who's thankful for their friends. Miss Marmalady picks up the turkey drawing and mocks it initially, and then it suddenly gets somber. She goes outside, cold and alone, remarking, "Where are my friends?" She walks alone on the road. It's dark and windy, and she sees a family enjoying a Thanksgiving meal inside the warmth of their house. In contrast, she's outside, in the cold, without food or company. In most kids shows, you do not feel bad for the antagonist at all. I mean, why would you? This is a kids show. We're not supposed to be teaching kids about bad stuff because bad stuff is bad, and only antagonists do bad stuff. But this episode strikes me because this is one of the few instances where a kids show actually makes you feel bad for the antagonist intentionally. They play it pretty straight for this one. You're not supposed to laugh at this. You're supposed to feel genuinely bad for Miss Marmalady. It's kind of weird to think about it.
It does have a heartwarming ending though, with Miss Marmalady finding out that Butterbean and company have cooked up the ingredients into a delicious Thanksgiving feast. And Miss Marmalady finally hangs a paper turkey, saying that she's thankful for the best Thanksgiving she ever had. And sure, it was a short moment, but they played pretty straight, and it tied up pretty neatly in the end. I kinda liked that. Not bad, Butterbean.
Very Happy Thanksgiving is definitely an oddball choice here, mostly because it's like not even dark, or it's not even that sad. You feel bad for Miss Marmalady, that's it. And to that I say, well, this is my list, fuck you. Okay, sorry about that, we'll actually get into something depressing now. We're gonna be talking about a Bluey episode. Now, I can hear some of you crying in the background, and don't do that yet, please, okay? I'll tell you when you can cry.
This episode of Bluey is called Camping.
You can tell I like camping related things a lot.
Bluey has no shortage of episodes that deal with heavy subjects. The show, onesies, copycat, baby race. Though the episode I want to talk about specifically isn't much of a heavy subject, but it still made me sad in the best possible way. In this episode, Bluey's family goes out camping, and while playing, Bluey meets another camper her age, a boy dog named Jean-Luc. Despite the language barrier, their friendship is almost instantaneous. It's genuinely wonderful to see things unfold when they plant a seed in the ground and when they finally catch that wild pig. Though, of course, all good things must come to an end, and Bluey wakes up to find that Jean-Luc's gone. It was unexpected to her.
As I already stated, camping does not really cover a dark subject, but it rather covers something so universal and emotional that honestly, if you haven't felt this, you're not even human. And of course, I'm talking about the universal experience of friendship and how friendship can be taken away in a matter's notice. It's a universal experience that we enjoy being with someone and then they just suddenly disappear one day. Or we don't get to see them anymore. Though, unlike a best friend who suddenly has to move, at least we get to say goodbye to them. But sometimes it's not the case. Sometimes the friends we make along the way just vanish. No words, just gone. We're left confused. We don't know where they went. We're suddenly wondering where did they have gone. But most of all, we end up feeling super empty inside. Are we ever gonna see them again? Are they just gone? I think what Chili says here sums it up best.
Sometimes special people come into our lives, stay for a bit, and then they have to go.
But that's sad.
It is. But the bit where they were here was happy, wasn't it?
Yeah. We caught a wild pig together.
Maybe that makes it all worth it.
This weirdly got me the first time.
Eventually, time moves on and the tree that they planted grows into something beautiful. A teenage Bluey now sits under that tree. And then...
Hello, Bluey.
Okay, you've been holding it in, you can cry now.
Camping is sad, not because it deals with any kind of dark subject or anything like that. Rather, it beautifully illustrates a friendship in 6 minutes, and how sometimes those friendships we forged can suddenly vanish. And personally, as someone who dealt with this a lot, this episode struck a chord with me, especially that ending. Like, my god, is it one of the most sad yet satisfyingly beautiful endings in almost anything.
So to quickly wrap things up for this segment, Bluey is amazing, don't let the haters fool you, camping is an exquisite piece of work, and we'll all be tuning in to the Bluey movie in 2027. I'll see you there, guys. You know, I just realized that all the episodes I've listed here are from preschool shows. Like, we should probably go on to like an actual kids show. And that's where the final episode comes from. And I'm not even gonna do like a long-winded, unfunny introduction to this one. Like, this is genuinely one of my favorite episodes from anything.
会いたいよね。会いたくない。そう。
Ash and Kiawe reminisce about the last episode, but they begin to wonder about how they met Hapu's grandfather last time, even though he died. Hapu then reveals they probably met her grandfather because of Tapu Fini and her mist. When in Tapu Fini's mist, it's a bridge between the reality and the afterlife, and those who have a strong desire to meet someone who had passed on will meet them there. And Mallow is struck hard by this fact, and goes outside. Lana follows her, and it's revealed that Mallow's mother died a long time ago. And before her death, the last words Mallow said to her was that she hated her for apologizing too much. Mallow's lived with that regret ever since, and she fears to meet her mother should the mist appear. Pokemon has dealt with death before, but probably never to this degree up until now. It's not a Pokemon's death, it's the death of an actual human. Someone who actually lived and loved the main character. The death of a parent. Halfway through the episode, Tapu Fini unleashes her mist, and now Mallow's stuck in it. She begins to wander around in the mist, trying to find her friends, when suddenly, a voice calls to her.
Mao! Mao.
The voice acting from Reina Ueda, who plays Mallow, is absolutely heartbreaking. The whispering stumbling as she calls for her mother, which crescendos into a loud shout, you can hear her voice break with every step, and when the two embrace and Mallow starts sobbing uncontrollably, you can hear in her crying the years of regret that Mallow's been holding in, just suddenly bursting all out like a dam. Her words are barely distinguishable from all the crying, and she keeps apologizing to her mother incessantly, and it's... my f***ing god, does it hurt so much. Let me just say this, the voice acting here is really good, but I just can't watch this just because it breaks my heart so much.
On the topic of apologies, something that's equally heartbreaking is that throughout the episode, Mallow hated that her mother kept apologizing to her before she died. But now the roles are reversed. She's now incessantly saying sorry to her mother for everything she said to her. But her mother, sweet and caring, tells her it's all okay and that she should have not apologized. Instead, she tells Mallow that she should have said thank you. In turn, Mallow stops apologizing. Instead, she says thank you to her mom. Thank you for bringing her into this world. Thank you for everything. We live with a lot of regrets, and sometimes we don't reckon with those regrets. We don't have such a luxury of going to magical mist in the forest to see our loved ones again. But that's not the point. What this episode teaches us is to not live with hate. Rather, cherish the ones we love until the end. Rather than living with hate and regret, she learns to live with thanks and gratitude. Mallow gets the chance to relieve herself of those regrets and move on to a new perspective. Not only is it such a beautiful message, but this is genuinely one of the most beautiful episodes to ever come out from not just Pokemon, but kid shows in general.
And so we come to the end of the video. You got any tears in your eyes? Because I sure do. Is there any moments that made you sad from kid shows? Is there anything I missed? Let me know in the comments below. And to end things off, what is the message of this video? Be grateful, love those around you, cherish the ones you love the most, and that I need to get a frickin' life. Oh my god, I can't be crying over to this.